Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, with the grace and the love and the mercy and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we continue our da'wah from Khalifa Education Foundation and Islamic Psychology Center to train 12,000 VIP life coach, inshallah, over the next 10 years all over the world. We are starting already. Quite a number have signed up. You can sign up very easy. Just choose which area of your interest. We have more than 600 videos. Choose 30 videos, either in motivation, coaching, mentoring, or counseling. If you are, for example, in psychology, you can go to our Positive Islamic Cognitive Behavior Therapy Counseling methodology, which is an integrated method of counseling, the first project in the world, inshallah. And then you can get certified as a life coach, not as a psychologist. I remember we are teaching you to help shape the ummah through your activism in the mosque, in the NGO, in the universities, and so on. So this is our da'wah. Alright, I explained to you that humanity faced this existential extinction of the human species because of climate disaster. Now is more and more news are coming out, more and more scientific report shows the dire consequence if we don't take action. So we barely have 10 years to correct the situation from fossil fuel to carbon neutral civilization, and inshallah if we can do that, then we'll avoid sea level rise up to 25-30 feet within the next 50 years. And if we can overcome the question of the next 50 to 100 years, if we do not do anything, then the 5 degrees rise will go to 10 degrees, and by then almost all humanity will be dead. All animals will be dead anyway. So this is a real thing. It's not a fairy tale. So a lot of those climate deniers will say it's a fairy tale. No, it is reality. It's already happening. Now the Arctic and Greenland is melting at a fast rate. Scientists in their model says this melting should happen in 2070. That means 50 years from now. But it is now happening today, right in front of our very eyes today. You can go click the melting of Greenland ice, and Greenland will become green, just like the tropics. But what about the tropics? It will be gone. All right. So we have to do something together. Ourselves, our family, the Ummah, society, work together, unite all humanity, and that can be done through our program, Islam Heart of Love. That is our contribution. We're not saying that this is the only way, but all of us can contribute towards bringing together first the Ummah as a united Ummah to face this challenge. For example, we can plant trees. Each and every one of us can plant trees. Every year, 1 tree for 1 family member. If we have 1.7 billion Muslims, we can plant 1.7 billion trees a year, which is a lot, and we can mitigate the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere, which is now more than 415 parts per million. Once it hit 550 parts per million, it's all gone. We cannot do anything. So we are doing consciousness research and how to integrate this beautiful deen for the Muslims and how to work together with the non-Muslims. But when we work together with non-Muslims, we cannot have the sameness. That's why it's very important to differentiate between unity of humanity and unity of all religion, which I'm going to give you some precursor to understand worldviews, because this is very important. The fundamental idea is you must have correct Tauhidic worldview, which my teacher Maulavi Babu Sahib in his book Tenets of Islam, and Professor Said Nakib Alatas, Prolegomena of the Metaphysics of Islam. These 2 books I'm trying to integrate and bring this idea. So if we talk about worldviews, there are many worldviews. I have given you a summary before, but from this book I'm taking, there are various types of belief system. All right, so this is from my teacher's book. First, he says about agnosticism, that is to believe agnosticism, to believe that nothing is or likely to be known of a God of anything but material phenomena. This is almost close to atheism. That means they are agnostic. You ask them about God, maybe not. They are not committed, but they are not hardcore atheists. The next level is atheism. Their worldview is everything is material, which has given you a lot of ideas already. To believe there is no God, and or to disbelieve in the existence of God. There is no God, everything is material, everything is physical. I've given you a lot of videos on that. Then you have dualism. This is a kind of restricted polytheism which distribute divine function into two heads. Alright, so polytheism, dualism, there are two heads. The God of good and the God of evil and things like that. This is based on a lot of mythology. Yeah? Therefore, it can be classed under polytheism. That means if there are more than two, then become polytheism. Alright, so polytheism is clearly to believe in the plurality of divine head. That means you believe in God of mercy, God of love, God of finance, God of so many gods. Just like the Jahiliyah, Makkah Jahiliyah, they have one God for each function or each attribute or each day of the year. The same thing we can find this in many pantheistic or polytheistic religion. Then we have pantheism. Pantheism is to believe that God is everywhere and everything. So now we have the panpsychism, the universal mind made of components of all conscious things, whether it's the atom, the crystals, the birds, the bees, all formed together as conscious being, forming the universal conscious mind. That is pantheism. Alright, and then we have monotheism. This is the worldview of Islam, to believe in the unity of divinity by attributing, alright, one, a separate but non-real entity to things other than him without giving the belief of any practical use. This may be taken as a preparatory stage, but the most important stage is to believe in the oneness of Allah, the Tauhidic worldview, which I'm going to give you some idea of how this come about. Alright, so this is from Tenets of Islam, and from Syed Naqib al-Atas, he explains, the nature of God as revealed in Islam is derived from revelation. So that is the first worldview and first definition that we must understand. We do not mean by revelation the sudden visions of great poets and artists who claim for themselves, nor of apostolic inspiration, because in Islam we have revelation, we have inspiration. Inspiration falls under the hadith, revelation falls under the Quranic worldview, or of writers of sacred scriptures. Sacred scriptures, they are writers, whether the Rig Veda, the Bhagavad Gita, the book of Tao, and so on. Those are written by human beings. Even the Gospels, Gospel by Mark, written by Mark, Gospel of John, written by John. This is not that. This Islamic, remember, Islamic Tauhidic principles very clear about that those are just inspiration. Yes, maybe, but it's not revelation. Nor the illuminative intuition of the sages and people of discernment. That means even if the sage receive an inspiration from the higher up, they are just their own inspiration, but not wahyu. They are firasat, or they are just at the level of inspiration. We mean, that means in Islam, by the speech of Allah concerning himself. This is his creation, the relation between them and the way of salvation communicated to his chosen prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then conveyed by the prophet to mankind in a linguistic form, that is in Arabic, the original Quranul Kareem, and from there it is sent to us through the various sahabis, tabi'in, and so on. That's why I'm saying it's very important within the framework of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we have this sanad system. Alright, this prophet sent to his sahabas to tabi'in to tabi'in to the next generation, and this continue until today. So you can find in transmission of hadith, transmission of ilmu, the ilm of Islam is all work on this basis. That's why the middle ground, the Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is the safest path, because we have the sanad or the continuation of our basic worldview and principles. The conception of the nature of God that is derived from revelation is also established upon the foundation of reason and intuition. So we have not only revelation, we have reason and intuition, and in some cases upon empirical intuition. So empirical intuition is logical reasoning, as a result of man's experience and consciousness of him, that is Allah, and of his creature. So when we reflect about this, then we can see an empirical understanding. For example, in the Quran, Allah tells us, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. So Allah tells us about, if this Quran is sent upon a mountain, it will just split asunder of the heaviness, of the tough, of the fullness of this message, which they cannot bear, but human being can bear through our consciousness, our reasoning and understanding. That we can go into much detail later on. All right. The nature of God understood in Islam is not of some conception of God understood in the various religious traditions of the world, as I mentioned to you before, where it's not dualism, it's not polytheism, it's not agnosticism, it's not scientific atheism, and so on, not panpsychism. Nor it is the same for the conception of God understood in the Greek and or the Hellenistic philosophical tradition. That means we can take the Greek or the Hindu or the Christian tradition, or of the Western philosophical or scientific tradition, nor of that of the Occidental or the Oriental mystical tradition. So they have this esoteric tradition within Buddhism, within Hinduism, within many religious views, but those cannot be the basis of understanding the metaphysics and the tenets of Tauhidic principles in Islam. So because in Islam we have one universal God in which various conceptions of the nature of God for each and every one of them serves and belong to a different conceptual system. That means our system is Tauhidic conceptual system. Our worldview is Tauhidic conceptual system. The Hindu, they have their Hinduistic conceptual system. The Tao, they have their Taoistic conceptual system. The atheists, they have the materialistic physicalism as their worldview and so on. So all these are dissimilar to one another. So because of that, when they are dissimilar to one another, they cannot be called a unity of religion or unity of Godhood. That's where within the framework of Islam, especially as Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we do not accept that. There can be a unity of humanity in terms of we are all Bani Adam. We are the children, the descendants of Adam and Eve. We have one father and one mother in the past. We form into tribes and nations to know one another, but we may carry different worldview. You may be a Christian, Alhamdulillah, that's your worldview. You may be a Buddhist, that's your worldview. You may be an atheist, that's your worldview. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge finally. But we believe in this truth, so this truth is our system within the framework of Ash'ari, Maturidi, and within the framework of the Tauhidic concept of understanding Islam. So inshallah, I've given you some ideas how to go about with it, and I'll explain to you in detail inshallah over the next few videos, so that we get this clear, that we can have unity of humanity working together to save this good earth from our own evil hands, that we have destroyed this earth. Go to my climate action network video, about 15 videos there. You can see whatever evil that we have done with our own hands, that if Allah so wish, He can punish us, but we seek for the grace, the mercy, the love, the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us in this 21st century and to save the ummah, so that we can work together to bring a beautiful world, living together in peace and harmony as the children of Adam, and peace and harmony with all Allah's creature, the whole ecosystem. But we must be able to differentiate our worldview in terms of the truth of the Tauhidic principle of monotheistic Islam based on the Ash'ari Maturidi understanding, inshallah, knowing that we are His Khalifa on this earth, striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, making the world good, inshallah.